so you were a developer, so you had the knowledge and experience of like writing code, but going into QA, what was um what was the hardest part about that part? Like not the development part, but going into QA.
Developers, their mindset is, hey, I have a problem, let me find a solution, right? But a QA's mindset is, I have a problem and a solution. How can I break that solution? Right. So flipping that switch to trying to fix the problem to trying to break the problem was something that it took a little while to for those dots to connect. For example, Tekken, right? There's these characters, but Tekken 8, it has all these breakables, from the glass windows, the floor breaking, and each one of those things, a person is doing that job, or a team is doing like the glass shattering, the movement patterns, and the character design themselves. That's not even the gameplay engineers. Then you have the testing, you have the storyboarding, you have, the list goes on and on about what it is that is actually in the gaming world or the production industry.
There. So everyone, this is Andrew, and he is also a QA engineer. Actually, you're like, what is it the things that you do?
Um, for the majority of my life, I've been a QA engineer, right? As Ralph likes to say, I came out the boom doing QA. But I've done QA. I've been a regular dev, Java dev, and then most recently, I've been venturing into the SDET realm, right? So not just doing, as you was just alluding to, not just getting selectors and elements for a page, but actually building tools and frameworks, right? So at my previous job, I was building plugins for the Unreal project, right? And really just making it an input recorder. So anybody can put in certain inputs and then it will save those inputs. And then for a game, you want those inputs to be played on time and every time correctly. So that was like the biggest thing, just building out those sorts of things. And that's kind of been where I've been sitting at for like the last 6 months. But now I'm in the job market, right? Everyone is affected by layoffs. It sucks everywhere, but that's the industry that we chose. You can't not get away from it. Tech is either going to be good or it's going to be bad. you
That's a
know
good point. Yep, that's true. So I have a friend in the chat who says, "Hi, Andrew." So that is Leanne in the chat. She says hi. So
Hello, Leanne.
see, so I wasn't off when I said you came out of the womb knowing how to do automation, right?
No, man. I've been at it for going on 10 years now, man. So it's been a while, right? I first started off doing Groovy, which is like a Java style
Mhm.
automation, and it completely blew my mind. I didn't know that tests could work like that, and that got my interest peaked. A good friend of mine suggested that I go into QA automation, and I had this whole vision that QA was waiting around for a week and a half, not doing any work, and then stressing to get all the work in for the release. But he assured me that was just that environment, that was just that company. And since I already had years of experience writing code, I'll be able to pick up automation quickly. And I jumped in and really haven't turned back since, man. So not out the womb, but for a long time.
What would you say was because like so you were a developer, so you had the knowledge and experience of like writing code, but going into QA, what was like um what was the hardest part about that part? Like not the development part, but going into QA.
So going into QA, developers, their mindset is, hey, I have a problem, let me find a solution, right? But a QA's mindset is, I have a problem and a solution. How can I break that solution? Right. So flipping that switch to trying to fix the problem to trying to break the problem was something that it took a little while to for those dots to connect. But outside of that, getting into code, it was really just learning a different language, right? I've been in Ruby, JavaScript, and two different types of JavaScript frameworks, Kotlin, Swift. All of these languages are just about the same, right? They do about the same thing, but it's the principles. The thing that really trips you up is syntax and the libraries, right? In Ruby, you can have random generators, and they'll have all these files for you. But in C Sharp, they don't have those things. You know what I mean? They don't have a random file generator or a random name email generator. You have to kind of do those things on your own. So just learning those little tricks of the trade, to help your life go a lot easier. But syntax is syntax, libraries are libraries. Once you start getting like not functions, but once you start getting design patterns,
Mhm.
those sorts of concepts, any language can work anywhere.
You ever find yourself like, because you seen, I'll go between Java and Python, and then sometimes JavaScript. Do you ever find yourself like you're writing you're writing in like JavaScript or Python or whatever, but you start writing Java code?
Yes, all the time, right? Most recently, when I was at Lucasfilm, I was coming from JavaScript and I was having to learn C++. Um, in JavaScript, it's easy in the sense that, it's very widely used everywhere, but there's 100 different frameworks for JavaScript. C++, no, this is it. This is all you have.
Mm.
Um, so I would be writing C++ code, but then it'd be like, oh, I'll start writing a for loop or I'll start writing an algorithm in JavaScript, thinking that that's going to work and wondering why my code is broken.
Yep. Yep. So you said you were working at a gaming company before?
Yes. Yes.
I have a friend who wants to get into QA for gaming. I have another person who was asking about it as well, about like, but their goal was to they want to actually build a game. So we're like, well, going into testing for it might not be your best route because
Right. Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely.
you guys
And I
another.
did not realize how much went into building games, right? There's level designers, there's artists, there's character designers, right? And that's their primary job. Like, for example, Tekken, right? There's these characters, but Tekken 8, it has all these breakables, from the glass windows, the floor breaking, and each one of those things, a person is doing that job, or a team is doing like the glass shattering, the movement patterns, and the character design themselves. That's not even the gameplay engineers. Then you have the testing, you have the storyboarding, you have, you know, the list goes on and on about what it is that is actually in the gaming world or the production industry. Right. So if you're trying to get in there, hey, there's ways to get in. So keep your eyes open for all sorts of deals. If you want to design characters, go into that. If you want to do gameplay engineering, right? Learn C++, learn C sharp, learn Unreal, which is a beast within itself, right? Um, though it's a lot more difficult learning Unreal on the Mac, because it's based, it's based off of Windows products.
Mm.
I would just suggest go going all in. Like even learning how to build a VM to get yourself a Windows machine. Right. That is one way to get that knowledge of getting a VM and then understanding how Windows machines work.
Yeah, that's and that's why like I go through all these different tools and softwares. Like one week I'll be messing with Docker, another week I'll be messing with Cypress, another week I'll be or Sundays I'll be messing with Terraform just to get exposure, to all these different tools and and that way you can like ramp up on something. But if you've never looked at it before and now you're trying to like learn it under pressure, it's going to be so hard. um
Yes, 100%.
so that's why I'm always encouraging people like just just do something. I remember I'll tell you a quick story, right? One of the people that I I coach, they they wanted to go into QA. um and I was like, well, I want you to do this challenge, but I want you to they're learning SQL, right? And I'm like, well, I want you to install SQL via Docker. And they're like, I never used Docker before. And they were kind of scared. I'm like, okay, well, let's just do it, right? And we set up Docker and install MySQL in like 10 minutes, and then going forward, like, oh, I want you to do this challenge, like the rock, paper, scissors challenge at Chaos Camp. And then they were able to go get that, do the Docker build, start the container on their own because that little exposure of 10 minutes that they had to install MySQL on it, they were able to like, so it's just like doing something, because a lot of people, they get scared to do something, right? Because it's new to them. But I'm like, once you do it, it's done. And now you can use that knowledge to take you further.
100%. It's so funny that people are so scared of Docker, right? It's, oh my gosh, I don't know what this thing is. There's a whale, there's containers, there's boats, right? And really, it takes 10 minutes. Like, I'm glad that you use 10 minutes because it's a very readable language, right? When writing a Docker file, it's very readable. When I was first learning Docker, I was like, yo, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. This is gonna take me months to learn this. And then I sat down, I was like, oh, once you get the images right, like once you started getting it built, excuse me, and once you start understanding how those commands work in the command line, and then you're able to write your own Docker file, it was easy as pie, man. Like,
Hmm.
I wish I would have used it more often earlier than that one time that I had that exposure to it. Because if I would have known it was just that easy, like I would have, I just would have been using it.
And here's the thing with that, right? Because to me, the easiest way to get started in Docker is to like just do a Docker run command on
Hmm.
like, and the way that I suggested, because I talk to a lot of QA people, right? People want to get into QA. Just start the Selenium grid. It's just like one line that you copy and you paste, and you're gonna see it come up, and then you navigate to it in the browser, and you'll see the grid, right? And it's like such a quick win that you can say, "Oh, I just did something in Docker. What else can I do?" Right?
Yep.
And then
Yep.
you go into like doing pulling in an image, starting up a container. Then you can build your own container. And that's one of the things I like about that rock paper scissors challenge, as well as the UI web automation challenge, is that Don has you actually build the image. He creates the Docker file. And you have to do Docker build, right? And it'll build it. And you're actually doing stuff in Docker, which is so valuable that I think people miss how useful that is.
Yeah, most certainly. And it can be used in all aspects, not just for UI automation, but for your builds, right? So if you're maintaining an AWS pipeline, or you're making sure that all your tests are in the AWS pipeline, and you want to test against, either production or whatever environment that you have, you can just spin up a Docker image for that environment and then run your test against that Docker image, against that container for that, for your automation. So it's like, it's those little things that I overlooked, early in my career. It's like, oh, this is just a thing. Like, it's just a language that you have to learn. Like, and once you get to it, you're good to go.
If you enjoyed the fascinating information shared in this video and you want more, be sure to hit the subscribe button to Tech Coach Ralph to be notified for new videos.
Enigmatic Joker.